So, have you ever felt stuck in the cycle of manifesting one thing after another, only to feel the thrill fade away? In this video, I'll show you how to go beyond manifestation with a transformative 3-stage alchemical process and framework. And we're going to ask you the question: are you a manifestation monkey? How to identify whether you are actually a manifestation monkey or a true co-creator with the divine. So often what I've basically been seeing is that over the past few months, and I also just did some readings over the weekend as well, the same question is being repeated. What is my purpose? What is my purpose? What is my purpose? When I then start pointing their mind to what do they desire, what would you like, we start understanding, we start tapping into manifestation and energy. And what I've basically been saying is that the manifestations have not really been the focus of the conversations. So we've been starting off with like purpose and people just coming in with this energy. So I'm speaking to people that actually don't know me but now. So they're coming in with this whole energy of what's my purpose? What's my purpose? I want to manifest. I want to manifest. And what I'm basically here today to share with you is that there is a purpose crisis and something maybe even more dangerous, a manifestation trap. There is a trap of manifestation which is distracting us from what we should truly be doing. And if you understand the as above so below, the clues of being in front of our face, I would say all this time, but because of this whole the secret laws of attraction, that hasn't led to us being focused on where our attention should be. So what I'm going to do in this video is, in one part, just show you that you are essentially a product of your environment. You are what you create. And in one hand, I'm gonna show you why you shouldn't really focus so much on manifestation, and you want to tone that down and focus more on being. That's essentially, I'm just giving you the promise early, is to focus more on being and less on manifestation, manifesting things. Yeah, so that's essentially what this video is about. And it's going to be broken down into 2 halves. So in the first half, there is going to be me talking about the problem. I'm going to spend quite a lot of time talking about the problem and how we got to this problem, and like why it's such a serious issue. Why I'm going to kind of run a flag with this one. I'm going to be speaking about this one with a flag. And then the second, I'm going to show you the framework for manifestation. So I'm still going to give you a framework for manifestation, you know, so no way, you know, based on how we see it. And it's going to be ridiculously powerful. It will be a ridiculously powerful manifestation tool. There's no ifs or buts. But before I give you the tool, I wanna teach people or share with people or encourage the people how to use the tool. So yeah, are you a manifestation monkey? So the first thing we're gonna do is just go into the manifestation trap. So there is something in Buddhism called becoming. Essentially, it's this idea of becoming, which is we are always trying to grasp onto who we're trying to be. So we've created these ideals in our head. We can call it our higher self. We can call it our, you know, what would Jesus do version of ourself. And so that leads to us wanting to, our desiring to reach this potential, reach this version of ourself, which can often feel distant. It can often feel distant. So what happens is you either don't know who you are, or you have a vision of who you are, and it's very, 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 very far away. It feels like literally like it feels alien to you. It feels foreign to you. And so what we're trying to do, hopefully, in spirituality is we're trying to close the gap. So activating our true self or tapping into our true self is closing the gap, closing that feeling of separation, that distance that we feel between who we feel like we should be and who we truly are. And I'm basically here to share with you that that gap is an illusion. That gap of separation. So we were teaching in the first masterclass that there is no separation, there is only oneness, and all you have is the illusion of separation. And so all we're really trying to do in spirituality is remove this veil, this cloud, which our personalities, our personas, our egos, you could even say identities, our ids have created. So in that word persona, I don't know if anyone checked it, but like in that word per just means part. So the etymology is per means part. So we are part sun. So we've basically fragmented ourselves off in the light. That's essentially what's happened. In these personalities that we've created of ourselves, we've fragmented ourselves from the whole light. We've become a part sun. You're a person, a part sun. And so all we're really trying to do in spirituality is remove these persons, or at the very least appreciate our part in it. Okay, wonderful. Someone can see the screen, but it's all blue. Thank you very much. Thanks for that. That's what we've got the chat for. So yeah, that's me. So there you go. Cool. All right, should we have to see that now? So like I said, all we're trying to do is close that gap. So wisdom, that know thyself, this quest to know thyself, know who we truly are, is self-proximity. The closer you get to identifying and becoming and being that true self, the more spiritual you are. That is just one simple way to put it. And so we're only going to, so even though we are focusing on manifestations, the reason why I'm saying that it's a manifestation trap, is because the priority should just be to know thyself. And then once you know thyself, you stop. The aim is to stop becoming. This becoming is a grasping that is either an identity that's in the future, or a grasping that's in the past, or a grasping that is a part of a self that's not this, i.e. the higher self. So for anyone that watched my last video, I broke down the 4 selves: the higher self, the lower self, the past self, and the future self, and then obviously the true self, or the centered self. So I'm giving the gems away early, which is just like the reckoning that it would just be about presence. The simplicity of life. You can almost just stop watching this video if you've got it already, because everything that I'm going to be teaching is just about how to be in the presence, especially in the second half anyway. The formula is going to dictate a presence, how to be in that presence, as opposed to chasing and grasping for these grasses that are never greener. Like, we get the grass and that smell fades. It fades. That freshness of that cut grass, it fades after a while. And so what do? We try to move to new grass. And so there's a grazing. There's like a non-stop lust to clutch at these straws. And so, like I said, in today's video, we're going to really, really try to isolate once and for all, especially with 2025 coming up. So again, it's like that time of New Year's resolutions. It's that time of New Year's resolutions where most people are, you know, end of the year, just natural cycles, the winter cycles, the hibernation. Okay, cool. What fruit am I looking to bear, you know, as we get moving to spring, the last season before spring? So these are natural times for us to be thinking about these cycles. And what I really want to try, and my aim in this video is to see if we can stop being that hamster on the wheel, if we can stop being a manifestation monkey. So the idea of the manifestation monkey is that you have the monkey mind. And so the monkey mind is always jumping from one thing to the next. That excitation, that chaos being that is just almost like a firefly, just like going to the next light. Going to the next light. And so obviously if we understand the person's is a part sun, it's because it's never truly fully grasping that full light. Like all of these things that we're manifesting in our life, so many of the things that we manifest in the light in our life never really allow us to tap into our true light, and are often just a distraction. They're often just a distraction. And so that part sun, that person, can only be satisfied short term. It's never going to be true. Now we can get that illusion like it is a partial light. So that is, so it's not to say that this is a simulation or it's not real, but we're saying that that light is partial. And so that partial light is never going to be able to fulfill an eternal soul. It's never going to be able to fulfill an eternal soul. And so what I really want to try and do in this video also is try and encourage you to move towards desires and goals that allow us to tap into our eternal self, so that we're not having these feelings of these ups and downs and this chasing our tail kind of approach, which I just hear from so many people. Like, that's what this video really is about. This video really is just a response. Like I said, I'm what now, about 11 for 11, maybe 12 for 12 of people, me just saying, how can I help you? And everyone just talking about their purpose and that they want to manifest, you know, some more greatness into their life, or more things into their life that they feel will make them happy. And in my last couple of conversations, I've been so clear with it in terms of helping people, in terms of directing their focus. So yeah, what if I told you that the way we've been taught to manifest might be the reason why we feel unfulfilled? And so yeah, I kind of spoke to that already. But you just have to be careful what you wish for. This is essentially the same, that you could say that would be the main ethos. Be careful what you wish for. Because most of us tap into our manifestations. And if we're not tapping into our manifestations, we're most likely just on that scale, but we're the opposite thing. As in, we're not, as in, I want money. So you saying that I want money shows me that you don't have money. I desire money, which means that basically you're creating from lack. So this line that, I don't know, it just came out at me. It's just like, obviously if like attracts like, well then lack can only attract lack. And my problem with like this kind of law of attraction, the secret, this manifestation, madness almost, is that when I hear people speak about it, almost all the people I hear speak about it, or most people speak about it from a place of lack. As in, I can't be happy until I get such and such. So on one hand, it's wonderful because they're recognizing the suffering. So they've kind of worked out half the problem, as we know. You know, one of the first things is acceptance. So they've worked out, I feel suffering. There is a gap. And so we then desire something in which we lack. But I'm literally saying that if you come at it from a place of lack, that thing that you manifest at some point will just reveal more lack to you. So you focus too much on the thing and not enough on the character, not enough on the perspective, not enough on the wisdom. And so most of the things that we're trying to manifest are in fact just tools. They're often just tools. And I'm saying that it is never the tool, it is always the man, or it is always the person. Or ideally, always the soul and spirit. Screen's gone blue. Why has my screen gone blue? I have no idea. Why did my screen go blue for? I didn't press nothing. Okay. Oh wow. I've just clocked why my screen is going blue. Sorry, apologies. I've got one button that does two things. So I'll stop pressing that button. Okay, cool. Basically, apologies. Thank you very much, people. That's what the chat is for. So yeah, there you go. So we manifest normally to avoid pain or chase pleasure. So this is key. When you're thinking about your manifestations and what you desire, are you running away from something, or what are you running away from, and what are you running to? So I'm basically coming from a place where I teach that the highest form of, let me just call it spirituality, is peace and equanimity, and that our desire for sensations, to feel something, you know, we want to feel alive, we want to be alive, we want to feel like a human, we want to feel loved, we want to feel, you know, like those people that cut their wrist, it's like at least they get to feel something. That's what they'll often say, because anything is better than numbness. Anything is better than numbness. So psychologically, subconsciously, I'd prefer to slit my wrists, because at least I can bleed out, at least something can get me, because I'm purposeless or in so much trauma that I'm kind of lost to the world. This thing that I've identified with has been lost to the world, and so it's been replaced with numbness. And then you've got the opposite side of it, which is the chasing pleasure. So we're saying that you've got hedonism. So hedonism is the the desire for just pleasure. Essentially, people that just live a pleasurable life, always looking for the next high, always looking for the next high, always looking for the next high. And so what that's basically doing is that's destroying your dopamine. That's destroying your dopamine levels. Like these levels is why they say, you know, you after your first hit, you'll never feel the sensation of your first hit, because again, that first hit wasn't natural. It didn't come naturally. It wasn't hard earned, let's just say. And so it spiked up your sensations to a level that it won't be able to hit unless it does it unnaturally, because you haven't trained up the skills. So in this conversation, there is going to be this whole idea of magic and manifestation and how you can tap into your abundance. Clearly that's where we're going, but to do it in ways that are in rhythm and organic, so that we're basically raising the bar, like we're raising the roof, we're raising the bar for everything, as opposed to having these spikes. these waves. And so so when we're saying pleasure or pain, obviously this would be pleasure, and then this would be pain. And so because we're trying to chase these highs, we're trying to avoid obviously the lows and chase the highs. Life is basically a spiral. Life is a wave, and so we're always going to be crashing at some point. It's basically a system of crash and burn. And so equanimity is essentially to basically master the line of life itself, and then spirituality, and then the mastery becomes where, like I said last week, you basically become anti-fragile. So regardless of where the wave is, you're in a good place, because you're always locked into your true self in the present moment. And so that locking into your true self is what gives you peace. These graspings for things that we are not, so we could be here and we're grasping for that and that, that is what's going to lead to suffering. That's what's going to cause suffering. Yeah. Yeah, so it's like bad jazz. So obviously last week we were talking about chaos. We said chaos is a really good thing to focus on. Like, you need to basically be able to ride the wave, and in order to ride the wave, you need to understand the cycles of order and chaos. And you need to see the benefit in both. You need to understand the act of what chaos is doing, because it's a transformative tool. Chaos is a transformative power. And we just need to distinguish. So this whole line is about distinguishing between like good chaos and bad chaos, because there is good music and bad music. There is music that has no rhythm. So even though we're improvising, life is what you make it. So even though we've said life is what you make it, you create your own reality. These are, what this channel is all about. We understand that we can also create disharmony. We also understand that we can create bad jazz. We also understand that we can be out of sync. So even though we're exactly where we're supposed to be, which again is a truthful statement, of course we are exactly where we're supposed to be, it's about desiring states that are more congruent to a wholesome longevity. And so what I'm basically dealing with right now is I'm working with clients who are basically feeling burnout. So what we're actually saying is, because they're not tapping into their true self, they're tapping into these part lights, these partial lights, these personas, these partial lights. The energy of their flame will always burn out after a while. It will always burn out. And that burnout will come in some form of crash. A crash from a fake high, or a crash when you just feel it at that low. And all it's really going to do is just deepen. It's just going to reinforce. It's going to reinforce. So every time you try and manifest something, and even when you do manifest something that has been created from the personas, for the persona's desire, or for the ego's desire, from the ego's desire, without the spirituality attached to it, to the spiritual mind, at some point it should most likely form a frustration and a deeper sense of longing. Because how comes this one didn't give me the promise that it said it would? I thought that this was it. I thought that by me achieving this thing, that would be it. And so after like doing this 10 times, so I'm speaking to people that I don't know, let's say 40, 50 years old. So they've manifested something that they believe to be their truth, something that they believed that was going to be this secret, literally the book is a secret, but that was going to be this sacred thing. It was going to be this sacred thing. like we get that sensation of oneness, but even the oneness, even that sensation of oneness, that dissipates. So we're teaching that everything is impermanent, other than very few things. There's only a handful of things which I would say are impermanent, and even those are arguable. So for us to expect that for us to be clinging on to things that are going to last long is just giving us a false sense of reality. This is the problem. The problem is our expectations, which we attach to our manifestations, thinking it's going to give us something that it was never promised to give. Well, sorry, something that it was maybe fakely promised to give, but was just, you know, a wolf in sheep's clothing. And so we keep on using manifestation as a tool to avoid deeper truths and discomfort, not as a path to real transformation. And obviously I've just said that manifestation is not enough beyond things. So that's kind of like, so yeah, that kind of just finishes the part of the manifestation monkey. And the purpose crisis. So as I said, 12 out of 12 people in the past couple of months, what's my purpose? Well, I need clarity on my purpose. And then when I gave those people clarity, that wasn't really their purpose, for most people as well. And purpose is important because it gives us a sense of meaning. I'll say that again. Purpose, it's not purpose isn't, sorry, I actually said that kind of wrong. Purpose basically is a smaller part of the game. The bigger the part of the game is meaning. So we understand the stats of people struggling in life, but they've got a family, so they're happy to struggle for something that's meaningful. So everyone's coming to me with what is my purpose, and I'm basically pointing people towards that being another false game. Who told you you have a purpose? If all there is creation and you're a co-creator, or you go one further and just understand that you are part of the oneness, there is no separation between you and the one. So when you understand that there is no separation, then how could my purpose be anything other than what I choose it to be? So like I said, this idea of purpose in itself is the wrong question. Or it's a question that is going to lead you most likely down a rabbit hole. Most likely this question of what is my purpose is going to lead you down a rabbit hole. And I know it's only a small sample, but I'm speaking to people who have had this question for decades and are still asking you that question, and are still asking that same question. And I'm not sure for me, that would be a part, that would maybe be a part of the insanity then, because it's almost like, you know, insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. You could apply that logic to a question. You can apply that logic to a question, and you could be like, well, is this even the right question? Remember, we said a question, quest, ion, charge, energy. And so how much energy has been wasted on us focusing on what is our purpose, as opposed to how do I create meaning in this moment? How do I create meaning in my life? How do I live a life full of meaning? I'm going to give you a framework for meaning as well. I'm going to do that on this soon. But I'm going to give you a framework for meaning, and you'll see that purpose plays a very small role. It does play a role, but it plays a very small role, and there's things that are way more valuable that when you look back on your life, you're going to see the value in that, and it won't be because you focused on your purpose. That I'll show it to you shortly. And so Sigmund Freud has this idea of the super ego. And your super ego is essentially your moralistic self. Your super ego is basically your moralistic self. It's your idealistic version of yourself. And I'm saying that we in the spiritual community, in the conscious community, have basically attached ourselves to the super ego. This is something like I've not really heard anyone speak about this stuff before, quite honestly. I've never actually heard anyone say this. But we've basically replaced our, let's say, lower self for our super ego. So we've replaced one form of ego for another form of ego. And there's a part of our ego that's tricking us to think that this other part of the ego is it. So again, it comes from this whole idea that lack can only create lack. And you have to change your state first. You have to change your state first in order for you to not feel the lack. There's a process, obviously, from going from lack to not feeling lack. But it's not in manifestations. It's not going to be in you answering what is my purpose. And so, yeah, like I said, there is no higher purpose unless you create it in the moment. And so often this super ego keeps us paralyzed. So even though even though we think it's, again, another type of energy, it is a type of energy, it's just the energy that burns out. Or it's the kind of energy that keeps us stagnated because it's become so big, like, oh, I'm in the spiritual community, I've got to do, I'm not spiritual unless I'm doing, you know, yoga 10 times a day. I can put my head behind my head, I can put my feet behind my head. I've never said boo to a ghost. I eat perfect. And so this idea of perfectionism is part of the super ego. This idea of perfectionism, this idealized states that we have of ourselves, is the super ego. Now, again, like I said, our ego is useful. It was developed from evolution, so it has a use as a tool. But you always have to recognize when it's the one in control. When you're clinging on too much. When you're desiring too much. Are you controlling it, or is it controlling you? Because if it's controlling you, you're either going to be paralyzed, or you're just going to be that rat on the running wheel. This manifestation monkey. I wanted to come up with a name for purpose something today, but I couldn't think of one. I came up with manifestation monkey today. I was like, what's that? I wanted one for purpose. We'll get there. Pest. I think I came up with purpose pest. But I wasn't feeling it as much. I was like, nah, the manifestation monkey one's way better. What's the etymology of the word purpose? All right, let's go look into that now. I'm going to give you my spiritual. So anyone that knows me knows that I do things spiritually, just like without the etymology. So thanks, that's a chat in the question. So a question from the chat is, what is the etymology of purpose? And I'm basically saying per would still be PR. So you still got the per, which is part, and imposing. So I'm using the word purpose like a negative. So when I'm reading this, I'm reading it from almost like a negative connotation. So obviously oppose is like an act. So again, it kind of, a purpose is for a person. Only people and persons have purpose. So purpose and person is closely related in the start of the etymology, P-U-R. So that P-U-R is the P-R, the per. And then the posing is obviously the posing. Like you're a poser. You're a poser. So obviously you're not tapping into your true self. So I'm saying that the way I'm inflicted, when I'm looking at this word purpose, this is my spiritual understanding, is that when I'm looking at this word purpose, I'm looking at a distraction because this is only giving me a part of the picture. By me only focusing on purpose as the main thing, it's giving me a part of the picture. And I'm basically getting a part of assimilation. Something that I'm now gonna have to act out. Like, so for example, like I'll give it to you in a real way. If I have to act out my purpose, like this is my purpose. If I say from now on, I am a shaman, I can only then do shaman things. Now maybe shaman's not a great one. I'm a really nice person. So my purpose is to be like a really nice person and like a Mother Teresa or something like that. So anytime that I show anger, I'm not following my purpose. Anytime that I don't help someone because I focus on myself, I'm not following my purpose. And so I'm saying that these purposes keep us trapped in a false sense of identity. They keep us trapped in a false sense of identity where we have to just pose. We have to keep on posing. We're just doing these poses, strike this pose, strike this pose, strike this pose. So a purposeful person is someone that strikes a pose and keeps it, or just someone that learns to strike poses. So that's my version of a purpose. That's how I'm seeing this purpose. But let's look at the etymology because someone did ask. So yeah, let's just do that. To aim. To aim, yeah. So yeah, it speaks to what I'm saying. I'm not saying to aim, I'm saying to be. So aims and intentions are secondary to being. They're secondary to being. So by all means, have aims. I'm just saying that they should be secondary. They should take second place to this. You could even just say it's an intention to being, but even the intention to being takes you out of being. At some point, you just want to be, and then you wouldn't even really need intention because you are just being. So this takes you from becoming to being. Beautiful. Some new people on the chat. Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, it's a new channel, man. So the comment sections are popping off today. Yeah. Oh, if anyone can like the video as well, man. Like it's a new channel. Yeah. Help. It's a new channel. So yeah. The more likes, the merrier, as they say. All right. Cool. Let's go back. Uh-oh. Bringing Aleister Crowley into it. All right, so do what thou wilt. So Aleister Crowley, for anyone that don't know, is like some occultist that like some people may attach to, like the dark side. Many people do, essentially. He's got books. Anyway, whatever. So Aleister Crowley has this famous saying, do what thou wilt. Do what thou wilt, but with discernment. So do what thou wilt essentially is this idea of tapping into your true will. So I'm just being a bit tongue-in-cheek because I'm using Aleister Crowley, and many people that will rub people up the wrong way, which I like. Oh, blue screen again. Yeah, see? Anytime I press the up button, basically, yeah, just for anyone, please keep on letting me know, because sometimes I keep on pressing the up button to move the page up and down, but it's also attached to my app, which where the up button also changes my screen. So yeah, that's basically why. So if that happens again, please just remind me in the chat. Thank you. All right, yeah. So like I said, so essentially, as I said, we're moving from future states of desire, of delayed gratification, for a being which is based on will. And so we want to tap into the will of the true self. This is essentially all the goal is, to tap into the will of the true self. And in order to tap into the will of the true self, we need to master the skill of discernment. Mastering the skill of discernment allows you to understand the difference between self and not self, for you to be able to recognize self and not self. Once you've understood the difference between self and what self, so self and not self, it then becomes a choice. What aspect of myself do I want to tap into? Because a great way to think about it is just range. I have all of these things. Absolutely. So Lavinia hit the nail on the head. It comes from a centered heart. So this is why last week I was saying that even myself, like just completely just underplayed the value of meditation, even though I'm someone that does a different type of meditation. I normally do the types of meditations that, again, focus on excitement, like guided meditations, or meditations that lead you somewhere, meditations that, again, focus on manifestation, because I want to experience something exciting. I want to be stimulated. This manifestation monkey, I want to experience a certain stimulation. Even if I want to tap into the allness, that in itself is a stimulation. For anyone that's tapped into, that's a stimulation in itself. And like I said last week, I'm someone that focused on the all. I was focused on the one. So this analogy of order and chaos, but as I better describe as, or as I prefer to describe as, the one and the zero, where the one is like the stimulation, maximum stimulation, which you could say is the allness, or the oneness expressing itself as the all, the one for all and the all for one. And then you've got this meditation, this no self, this level of non-perception, which is the highest jhana in Buddhism. There's 4 levels, and that would be like the opposite of stimulation. That is when you tap into your 0 point energy. You tap into that dark place in the heart, that silence in the heart, and then from there is where you emanate. From there is where you create. From there is where you observe creation. So there is not a doing. The doing is just a natural byproduct of you observing creation as your ability to be the observer and the embodier. The one and the zero. As I've been saying, like, for me, like, you could just literally just frame my whole 2025 is just about mastering the one and the zero. Balancing the one and the zero, which again comes down to discernment, which will come down to discernment. Is this one energy? Is this zero energy? Or is this a false ego energy? Is this a false light energy that's coming from the persons, the part light, the part sun, or the purpose, the intention, the future type of intention? So daring to desire. So daring to desire is the key to abundance. So basically, at some point, just I prefer to use the narrative of alchemist. If I use the narrative of an alchemist, then this whole concept of life being a test means that I've taken the expectations and the pressure of myself to be perfect, because I'm basically saying that all I was really, but that storyline is a hindsight thing. So your purpose could be your storyline, but based on what I've been teaching over the past couple of weeks, this is like obviously my biggie, is that the universe has way more potential energy than realized energy. So the only realized energy is in the now. Everything else is up for potential, including the past. This is where you can reprogram your past and reprogram your future, which obviously was last week. Well, sorry, 2 weeks ago video. That was a 2 week ago video. So your purpose is your storyline, but this storyline is it's fluid. And your greatest ability as a human is as a narrative maker, which again goes back to this whole idea of creating your own story. This whole idea of you create your reality, which I say, you know, is you create your own story. So I'm basically saying that we're using desire as a measure and as a yardstick. We basically only have beliefs and desires. At some point, we have to recognize and be honest with ourselves about what we know and what we don't know. And that our beliefs and hopes should be fluid. We're not attaching ourselves to any of our beliefs or our hopes, but we understand that they're useful tools for progress. And so we use desire as a tool to tap into, that wasn't my true self. That was closer to my true self. So it just becomes a proximity measure. Your desire becomes a proximity measure. And at some point, so can I go back and change my traumatic childhood? Absolutely, because in my mind, again, just to be very, very clear, you're speaking to somebody who basically sees the universe as mental. So I work, my number one, let's just say, let's just even leave it as a belief. My number 1, 2, 3 belief is that the universe is mental. And consciousness arises out of this mental state, this mental medium. And so I'm saying that the only thing that is real is the present moment. And so at any point in time, through meditation, there's through past life regressions, through any kind of subconscious programming, basically where you retell that story. So I'm basically saying that all persons have, i.e. persons, remember, part light. We're part lights, we're partial lights, or the person is partial light. Our true soul connects with the all and the nothing, the oneness. But whilst we're still trapped in this physical body, we need to think about things more practically, usefully. That's why I keep on using the word tool. I've used the word tool about 10 times today. And so you can heal from the trauma, but that's part of the story. That becomes part of your story. It's not to, absolutely, there you go. It's not to banish, sweep under a rug, change. It's to change your narrative on the actual events. You're not changing the events themselves. You're changing the narratives on the events. Because our brain is programmed to think in stories, narratives, and images. And so you're not necessarily even changing the images so much. You're changing the narration on the events of that image. That's how you change your reality. Because like I said, what's real, the only thing that is real is the now. And so by you focusing on your purpose, you're not really living unless you've mastered the magic of understanding that it was always about the journey, never the destination. It was, well, I won't say never, but you need to understand that it's way more. I don't even want to put a percentage to it, but it is way more, disproportionate, 90-something% at least, about the journey, not necessarily the destination in itself. And so, yeah, of course, dare to desire and be careful what you wish for. So what we're saying is, I'm just one of these people that I don't play victims with no one. So I've heard really traumatic stories, and I still don't frame those people as victims, because I never want to be in a position where I feel like I'm disempowering someone. So I'm only ever going to build up narrative. If you ever come to me for any help, unless I just thought it wasn't the right time. And so timing is a thing. Like, say things that are not just truthful, say things that are also beneficial. So if it's not beneficial, I won't say it. But if I feel like it's beneficial and truthful, then I'm going to see if we can frame how this narrative, how this trauma was part of your hero's journey, where you are sent a stage, and that either we change the perspective, or we see the necessity of that for this becoming. So we're looking at that timeline. So we're reviewing the timeline. But that's normally because we just don't understand causation, like cause and effect. We have little understanding of cause and effect through this partial light. So we don't really see the big picture. We don't see the full picture. And so be careful what you wish for, and then dare to desire, and then manifest from abundance, not lack. That's probably, if there was one takeaway today, I would probably say that's it. How do I manifest from abundance, not lack? So let's just say, like I said, I've said it a few times on a few videos now, that this past 6 months to a year to 4 years, depending on how you want to frame it, depending on the narrative you want to bring up, is basically about me being decoding. I'd say my last 3 years was about decoding. 4 years has been about decoding. This year, most of this year has been about designing. And then I'm saying the now stage has been this transition. I'm on the cusp, this transition between living my design. But then how do I do that in a way that is loose? Because I don't want to attach myself to false narratives. So I need to do it in a place where I understand that these narratives are a natural part of the evolution story that my brain has created, especially my right brain has created. And to make sure that all of my desires, like there's certain things that basically I want to do and be, and I can easily see where I can easily see where that is coming from a place of lack. So I can see the struggle, I can hear the frustration in my own desire to want this thing. And it's not like I'm not ignoring it. I've shone a light on it. I've been honest with myself. Clearly, I've been honest with myself. But just because I've been honest with myself doesn't mean that I'm going to try and use that frustration as the main driving source. I want to use abundance as the main driving source. I don't mind having lack there as a tool, as a partial tool. I can see it being useful in places, but I want to make sure that it comes from a place of abundant love. The reason why I'm desiring these things, this next thing, is because it comes from a place of abundance, abundant love. There is nothing that I lack. And so every single thing is just about me creating from this place of expression, just pure, almost unintentional expression that allows me to be alive in the moment. This has to be the key. So there is this whole, I do allow my, my right side to write out some plans and some themes, but even as I'm going to show you, it's not as it used to be in terms of like these smart goals, these smart objectives. But there is something similar for certain things. But quite honestly, you're speaking to someone that's prime focus is on the cultivation of their spirit. Transformation is basically what dominates my mind in a universe that's mental. And so I know that if I want to achieve those things, it definitely can't come from a place of lack. That cannot be the driving force. Lack is only going to create lack in those circumstances, especially. All right, so I'm now going to I'm going to get rid of my notes. I'm going to just bring up a framework. So yeah, This is the framework from last week. So basically what we're about to do now is not the last video, the video before last, I basically spoke about this magic framework. And I spoke about the fact that so yeah, this is the second half of the video, by the way. So the first half, like I said, I was justifying this whole monkey mind thing and why we shouldn't be focused on purpose, or why we should be less focused on purpose. And so how do we tap into our magical self? So as I said, Einstein says you choose to live life in two ways. You can choose to see life as mundane, or you can choose to see life as magic. That in itself for me is one of the ultimate choices in life. And I'll hear it in your language. I'll see it in the yeah, beautiful. So I'm just reading some of the chats. I'm just catching up on some of the chats. But you having your own conversation. I'll leave you lot to it. But yeah, beautiful. So as I said, mundane to magic. So I did cover this in the 2 videos ago, and I think I spent about 20 minutes on it. So I think I'm gonna breeze through it a bit more quicker this time. But there are 2 more components that I've not revealed yet, that are gonna allow us to manifest. But this magical framework, this is what allows us to choose our focuses wisely. So we're going to be choosing our focus about what we choose to manifest way more wisely than ever before. That's what I want 2025 to be about for everyone, is really going through those thought experiments, those imagination exercises where you truly try to be as authentic with your feelings as possible about what the consequences are of you manifesting this thing. Because I know that the people that I'm working with and the energy that I'm kind of attracting at the moment, like I'm working with people that are actually manifestors. And so for me, I need to focus on making sure that their manifestations are not leading them down a garden path with unintended consequences that they didn't just realize because they didn't understand the machinations, the implications of what they were manifesting. And so this mundane to magic does 2 things. This magic framework does 2 things. It does that, but then it also teaches you how to create magic in the moment. So without further ado, let's do it. All right. So the first thing really quickly is we start with a theme. Instead of going for goals, we go for themes. So we're basically this magic framework is essentially in opposition to something called the SMART objectives. The SMART objectives is a framework that's mainly used in business and logical goal planning. And we're saying that your spirit can't transform if it only taps into logic. So by you creating goals and frameworks that are designed in logic, you are basically set up to fail. You're literally set up to fail. So if for those people that are on a spiritual journey, that are looking to transcend, that understand and want to tap into their soul, that want to tap into their authentic self, then they need a different framework that taps into other parts of their brain, because the SMART goals only tap into your right side of the brain. And so if you want to do some right brain stuff, then this framework is not for you. This framework is better replaced. So this framework has a limit, essentially. And the limit is that it doesn't really focus on the left side of the brain. So if you wanted the left side of the brain, you've got the SMART objectives for that. There are tons and tons of videos. I don't need to teach that stuff. You can just look at it, SMART objectives, if you want to do some left brain logical stuff. So what we do instead is we start with themes. So you're going to come up with 3 to 6 themes for this year. And these themes are not going to have a end goal. It's not going to have a time with it. It's not going to have a limit with it. It's going to be very wide. So what you do want to do is when you're building your systems, you want to allow for exploration to take place. You want to allow for your spirit to be able to explore almost unrestricted, because anytime you say the word I want something, you're basically collapsing energy into a focus. And whilst what we need to teach is to become laser-like with our focus. There's a whole I won't do it today, but yeah, you want to become laser focused, but sometimes we take that too far, where we become so laser focused that we restrict ourselves from other forms of light or from wider lights. So I'm basically saying that we want to define a broad focus of exploration, just something that you're interested in, where you can tap into so many different parts of yourself. So what is a theme which allows me to be the first one, multidimensional. So what is the theme that I can do that allows me to be multidimensional? So I'm obviously going to use my framework again. So my theme for the year, I was just doing my themes today. I was literally doing my themes today. I've actually only got 2 themes. I've only got 2 themes, which is unusual for me. Normally I have 3 to 6. But for this season, I've only got 2 themes. And one is to live in my universe. This universe that I've created, this idea of a universe. I've created my own universe. Anyone that's followed my series, the Infinite series, it basically is about how to create your own universe. How to create your own universe. So all I really want to do is just deep dive into this universe that I've created. Like I said, I've went through the decoding phase, a design phase, and now I just want to live in this universe and just indulge in it. But my universe is stupidly wide. It's multi-dimensional. It's all of it. It's infinite. So it's not restrictive. When I'm saying I want to tap into my universe, my heart doesn't feel burdened. I don't feel heavy. I feel so light-hearted when I'm saying that. Although I understand I'm saying my universe, so I've collapsed something because I'm not living in your universe. I'm not living in a next person's universe. I'm saying the word my. So I understand that there is a collapse in there. But that collapsing is so multi-dimensional, so broad, that the air, that ether within me can travel till its heart's content. So instead of being specific, we want to be broad, i.e. multi-dimensional. Instead of measurable, we want to become immeasurable. Like, I can't even fathom how deep my universe is that I've created. Like I said, there's a tool, like, as anyone knows, like I build systems and tools, like a website design stuff, like I build apps and stuff. I have an app for anyone that doesn't know. I have a divination app. I have the world's first multi-divination app for anyone that doesn't know. Give that one little 2-second plug. So anyway, but the whole point is that I built this app, which in itself is incredible. But then on top of that, I built another 40 tools. And there's a couple of tools there that are they're so, like, I can't even wrap my head around what I've built. Like, I'm not actually even sure how to use them. I just built something from my imagination that just, I don't know. I'm not even sure if I could build the tool again. That's how mad it was. I went through this mad inspiration. I built this tool. I had an idea of what I was building and I had a reason of what I was building. But once I built it, I was like, oh, rah, it works. I tested it out one time. I was like, it works. And I was like, rah, what do I even do with this? Because it's just... And so I'm going to explore this tool this year. I have no idea where it's going to take me, but I'm excited for the journey. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Appreciate what you have now and the rest will come later. So I'm basically saying that your manifestations become a byproduct. Your manifestations become a byproduct of your being. Your becoming becomes a byproduct of your being. So you can never stand in the same river twice. The only constant in the universe is change. So you can never be something more than what that moment gives you. And so we don't need to focus so much on manifestation when the being is what produces the manifestation. The creator creates the creation. You are the creator and you are also creation. It's a process. And that process is better manifested from a state of being. Like, hopefully I'm getting repetitive now. I really enjoy when I get repetitive. So that's tapping into the ether, the waters of noon, the ether, this immeasurable. Immeasurable. It can't be measured because it exists outside of time and space. These things that I'm asking you to build your themes on exist outside of time and space, i.e. love. You couldn't put a location on love. You couldn't put a space on love. It would be immeasurable, or it would be hard to measure. It would be, so in science they want to measure everything. If you can't measure it, then it's not worthy. That would be like an atheist scientist perspective. It's not like it's not an interesting philosophical topic. It's just we can't do anything with it. In order for them to measure some of this stuff, you would have to have a device as big as a galaxy. They're saying that you would have to learn how to harness the energy of a galaxy in order to create some of these mystical things that we speak about. This is literally what they're saying. They're talking about CERN now being like, I can't remember how much times bigger. They're trying to build a new CERN. They're trying to get funding from it. I can't remember how many times bigger it is. And that's not going to do 5% of what they're looking for it to do. Because in order for them to really do what they really want to do, i.e. unlock the secrets of the sages, unlock the ancient secrets of the sages, you would need a device the size of a galaxy. Just deep that. And I'm saying that you've got that device located in your heart. Something that is the size of a galaxy, that would be a mechanical device the size of a galaxy, is what would be needed in order to create these things that are beyond the ether. Let's say this dark energy, this dark matter. That's what they're saying. So they're saying that the universe, we don't know 93% of the universe, dark energy, dark matter. In order for us to know that, we need the size of a galaxy. We need the device the size of a galaxy. And I'm saying that we have these energies within us. We can tap into these energies at any time. Just, I don't know, man. Just mind-blowing to think about. Some of this stuff for me, that's a mind-blowing statement to just think about. And I'm saying that these logical tools, these smart objectives, you can see where energy is lost. So when we speak about energy, we speak about action. Energy equals action, essentially. So if energy equals action, and that action comes from a mechanical tool, i.e. logic, i.e. smart objectives, i.e. purpose-led persons, purpose-led from the person, it is only going to be a dissipation of energy. It's only going to be a loss of energy. You're only going to be losing energy in that effort. And so when you tap into your divine self, when you tap into divine aspects of yourself, there is no loss of energy. There's actually an energy gain. You actually get an energy gain, like a synergy, because you've tapped into the divine rhythm of the universe. So now you've created a synergistic environment where 1 and 1 equals 3. Which again, doesn't make sense. I'm on some Terrence Howard stuff. Don't know if anyone knows who Terrence Howard is. 1 times 1 equals, what do you say? 1 times 1 equals, I can't remember what it says. Whatever, 2. 1 times 1 equals 2. Oh, that was it. Yeah, 1 times 1 equals 2. Yeah, let's not go there. But anyway, so yeah, when you're creating synergy, when you're tapping into that magic space, 1 and 1 equals 3. so and so we don't want to go what's achievable. Again, these are the SMART objectives. So SMART. We don't want to go with what's achievable. We want to go with what's impossible, or what we call groundless. The groundless ground. We want to go for what's impossible. Our mind shouldn't be able to grasp what we're going for, because our mind should be too monkey. You know, monkey mind, monkey manifestations. A monkey mind produces monkey manifestations. Let's bar that one up. A monkey mind produces monkey manifestations. And so in order for us to break from that cycle, we need to come up with goals that are impossible, that are too big for our monkey mind to even grasp. Maybe it can grasp, but it admits that that grasping is a failure from the jump. From the jump, it's a failure. And instead of being realistic, we want to be imaginative. So we want to tap into our imagination. Obviously, imagination is the key to a universal mind that can create manifestations. And instead of being timed, so again, these are SMART objectives. The last one is to be timed. So instead of being timed, we want to be timing. We want to be divine timing. We want to be cyclical. So if anyone is thinking about this year or next year, 2025, I would basically just do a real practical thing of working out what your goals and what your themes are. So that's not to say that you shouldn't have goals. You might want to move your house. You might want to build on a house. You might want to, I don't know, get a new job, for example. So you need to decide how much of that job that you're desiring, this new version of the job, how much is that desiring tapping into your logical train of thought, and how much of that is tapping into your spiritual train of thought. How much of that is synchronized with both. So it doesn't calm the soul. The soul is already calm. A lot of these things that I'm trying to teach you guys are essentially tricks for the ego. They're basically magic tricks to tame your ego. That's the way you need to think about it, because your soul has no lack. But yet we feel lack. So where does that come from? And so we want to be practical with it and be like, okay, cool. So we've got this useful device called an ego, evolution, yada, yada, yada. So I will do things to relax it. I will do things to tame it, because it's necessary. I don't want it to get in the way of these other things that I know to be true. These other moments that I know to be true. And so you may even set some SMART objectives just for your ego to be satisfied. Like I said, do what you desire. So if you're not sure whether it comes from ego or your soul, well then just try it out and see. You know, maybe study the consequences. Obviously, if it's something that takes you 20, 30 years to do, you're still not sure. But obviously at some point you would try to, as much as possible, tap into your soul nature, your true self. And as much as possible, trust the process that it will reveal the immeasurable. The impossible will at some point become less impossible. The divine timing at some time will relate to time. This is where synchronicity comes in. Beautiful, Candice. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, sis in the building. Yeah, she gets it. Beautiful. That's a beautiful comment. Beautiful. Yeah, someone read the comment. I'm not going to read the comments because she said it too well, so I don't want to. She said it best. You could just take that one in silence. I don't want to read that one out. But that's beautiful. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Express the divine creator in you. Express the divine creator in you. And so I'm going to skip all this other stuff because this stuff goes way more deeper into it. But essentially the same, but essentially the same thing that you do with just let me wrap up. So the third part of the magic, there it is. Yeah, the third part is the manifestation statement. So what you're not doing, because I realized that some people were doing this wrong. This was like from some of the feedback. They were coming up with a theme for each one of these. And I was like, no, you come up with one statement, but that one statement should embody all 5 of these aspects: the multidimensionalness, the ether, the groundlessness, the imagination, or the cyclical, or the broad, the immeasurable, impossible. It's the same thing, basically. Imagination and divine timing. So the ones in purple, just to be clear what you're reading, the ones in purple are just the opposite of the SMART objectives. And then this was me putting it into an acronym because, yeah, I wanted that magic acronym. Because the epiphany first came from me having this idea of mundane to magic. This whole idea of me just looking at people's lives, and when I'm listening to them speak, there's no light. I'm just not hearing any light in their voice. I'm not hearing any, there's just no light. It's like they've lost, it's like life is just beating them down so much that they've lost the light. They're struggling to find it. And so it wasn't about me trying to give them another false light. I don't want to be one of these guys that give you another promise. Do you see what I'm trying to say? I don't want to be one of these people that just give you another false hope, another false promise. Oh yeah, well then you just need to do this thing. Oh yeah, you just need to do this thing. Oh yeah, you just need to do this thing. That'll sort you out. When like I know I've been there about 100 times before, because you know, God loves a trier, and I'm definitely a trier. Definitely try anyone that knows me. So I've been there before. Like I speak from experience on that one. So yeah, you want to bring it into an actual statement. So you basically just want your statement to have aspects of all of these. Does it fit these criteria? So this magic framework is actually a criteria. I feel like even just saying that just makes it a bit more simple. So yeah. And then yeah, we're gonna skip all that stuff. That stuff is just more details. All right, so someone last week asked me how to this was in the chat. Someone said, "Oh, how do I empower my magic?" So you're talking about magic, but how do I like make it powerful? Because that framework weren't for making it powerful. That framework was a discernment and criteria one. Clearly, I've said that a few times now. So how do we basically manifest our magic? How do we make it more powerful? That's what someone was saying in the chat. And I gave them I revealed to them this framework, which I had mentioned a couple of times, just that I had this framework, but I didn't want to reveal it because it would have taken time. And so today is that day. And so today is about me revealing how do you then ignite your divine spark? How do you ignite your divine spark? So we built this framework, we built these themes, we've got these 3 to 6 themes. I would say the less themes, the better. The less themes, the better. You want to simplify it as much as possible. So I think I've even outdone myself, like, by only having 2 themes for this season. Like, I went from 6. I think at the start of last year I had 6 themes. I've now got 2. So yeah, basically this framework helps you spark into a grounded reality, which should be groundless reality. Engaging in certain aspects of self. So how to activate a theme. That's basically what this section is about. And so we'll just get into it. So as usual, it's another acronym. I enjoy my acronyms. And so FIRE just comes from me having this idea of the divine spark. So I force words into an acronym because I really enjoy acronyms. It makes me remember. That's how I remember, because my memory is not really great. So what we're basically saying is we want to basically tap into this divine spark. This what I have spoken about as the all spark, or Transformers calls the all spark. And so we I'm only in the business of transformation. And the trick that I realized when I said that, because I didn't have that at the time, I didn't have this as the master key, is that transformation is in the now. Just to be very, very, very clear, people, let me say this one from the top of the roof. And I'll repeat this twice, just for depth. Is that the transformation that we're searching for is in the now. The transformation that we're searching for is in the now. And so your question is, how do I find transformation in the now? How do I find moments of magic in the now? How do I become a creator of moments of magic? How do I create a momentum? How do I be momentous? I am momentum. I am momentum that is creating the magic. So, how to activate a theme. We tap into our 5 senses. So F, 5 senses. We tap into our 5 senses. So again, these are practical. The thing about my level of magic is I try to make it practical. So all we really have is our sense perceptions. So we want to become mean machines within a sensual body, within a 5 sense body. So we want to basically tap into our 5 senses. So I was getting distracted with my mind. I was thinking about meaning, that I didn't actually drop the meaning acronym, which I'll do after. So we want to tap into our 5 senses. We want to basically come up with ways to use our imagination, which involves sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. It's pretty simple. That's what we want to do. So depending on what we're trying to manifest, you may tap into 1 or 2 of these, or you might try and incorporate all of these. But you need to anchor your goals. You need to anchor your magic in physical reality. You want to anchor your magic in physical reality because that we're essentially alchemists, and so we want to work with the sense of touch. So this kind of going back to the meaning stuff. I'm going to break down the meaning stuff. I should have actually broken it down earlier in the video, but hey ho. But essentially, I'll just drop you a couple of things now. Is in this reality, it's basically a relational universe. So we live in a universe that is only based on relationships. And this illusion of separation means that we as persons, partial lights, are trying to connect with other lights, other partial lights. So the universe is relational. And our sense, the sense that we were given in this physical reality, is touch. You touch. The light touches your eyes. The sound touches your ears, your eardrums. Touch, obviously, touching your taste buds, and smell. So when we're thinking of the 5 senses, where it's rarely one sense, again, it's an illusion of separation. Or it's manifested from one sense. If you just imagine it as a tree, like a tree with roots. So there's one root, which is touch. So what we're basically doing in this magic 5 senses is we're tapping into connection. This is allowing us to open up the door of connection. And you can't create magic without connecting to something, because the universe is relational. And the deeper your penetration on imagination or feeling, this is where feeling now becomes important. So again, in my language, I always separate feeling from emotions. And I'm saying that there is an innate touch which is extrasensory, i.e. ESP, extrasensory. And so we're tapping into those touches. We're tapping into, let's say, the spiritual touches that are not necessarily physical touches, i.e. spiritual touches, but they eventually will manifest themselves down into physical touches, because everything spiritual is physical. It's just like a roots of a tree. Obviously the spiritual stuff happens first, but we need to understand, in this manifestation magic mindset, everything is spiritual. So everything physical is spiritual. And so we're also looking for physical receipts of our work, of our labor. We're looking to work with the elements. That's why it's important to work with the elements. Intention is everything. So if we actually go back to the root word, so it was really great when we had that question about what is purpose, because obviously we just understood that purpose is related to intention. So we obviously, as we've said here, create aligned and heart-centered intentions. You can only tap into your heart-centered attentions by tapping into your now space, by tapping into your silent space. The physical reactions are going to be like an after effect. You want to get to the level where your physical reactions become an after effect of you tapping into the silence. So it doesn't mean that you don't have sensations, you don't feel warm. Anyone that's done like energy work or anything, it doesn't mean you don't have physical sensations. Of course you are. But that happens after, as an after effect, again, as a byproduct of tapping into these spaces. And so you want to focus. And so here, what have I done? I've basically said you want to focus on love-based intentions. It's clearly, obviously, love is the answer. So you want to focus on love-based intentions. And so for me, it's a certain lightness. There's a certain lightness. That's my main feeling of when I tap into my love space, is that there is a lightness with it. There's a simplicity with it. And there's a lack of a desire to overcomplicate. So what will tend to happen is you'll simplify things, and then your ego will come in and try and complicate it. It will try to add things to it because it wants to fill the lack. No, we need more. It can't just be that simple. Like, you can transform in this conversation. I've given you guys enough to transform in this conversation if this information is new to you. But your ego is going to want to watch another video. It's going to, and I'm not saying it shouldn't, but I'm just like, who am I? But I'm just your ego is just going to, but it can't be that simple. How can it be free? This guy's just like, who is this guy? This guy's just chatting. He's giving it away for free. So it can't be valuable because things cost money. Like, valuable things cost money. So he can't just say something simple and free and then it be transformative. How does that work? I must need more than that. It must be more to it than that. So your ego is always going to want to add complication and something future based, something based that's not in the now. I'm saying to you, transformation exists in the now. So what you could do is just meditate at some point. All right, this is it. I'm going to lock into this meditation. I'm going to lock into this space that they keep on talking about and find out for myself. I could be lying. I might be wrong. Try it, find out for yourself. Because what I'm asking you to do is simple. Not easy. Because your ego wants to not make it easy. It wants to make it complex. So, R, resolution. Clarity. So there is this idea of assimilation theory. So like the universe is an illusion. let's just go with it for 1 second. I don't actually believe that is true, but let's just go with it for 1 second. And I'm just going to be using that as a metaphor because quite a lot of people know about assimilation theories. It's quite popular as a model for the universe. So what we're basically saying is that the reason why resolution is absolutely key is because you're understanding this matrix as pixelated reality. Like these images, like this isn't clear. Like I've got this button here that basically doesn't reveal the headline. So I've got this button here, and it will reveal the text. Yeah, so I've made it, but I like to hide it because I just want people to focus. It's just what I mean. Think about what I'm actually doing with this app. I'm just realizing what I'm doing with this app as a metaphor for life. We're saying that this screen represents life. Your consciousness is your awareness. So consciousness, we just replace the word with awareness. Your awareness is trapped within a certain wavelength, frequency, and space. That trapping is called focus. So when they talk about the soul trap, I understand it. I understand why they're calling it a soul trap, but I just see everything as energy. For me, the universe is energy, so I just don't even speak about things like a soul trap. It's just energy which is contained, energy which has been collapsed into a focal point. So right now, I just want you to focus on dissolving obstacles and embodying knowing. I want you to be completely clear on that because I don't want you to distract yourself. So everyone's talking about these soul traps, but they don't understand the necessity of the divine needing to divide itself. That's why the divine in most scriptures will also call itself the devil, or I created the devil, i.e. I created divide in order to feel and in order to observe myself. No one has ever seen their forehead. A mirror is obviously just a reflection, not reality. So no one's ever seen their forehead. And so we need these theories of opposition, these ideas of opposition. But what we really want to do is we want to get clear. So the clearer we are with our imagination, the more laser focused we can be, the more powerful the magic. The more powerful the magic. Now, there is a balance to this, by the way. Just there's a nuance. There's a clear nuance to this. So this is kind of contradictory to the magic goals, because I'm like, I thought you said to be unimaginative and make everything impossible. This is why we spoke about broad goals, because at some point you're going to you want to forget about your manifestations. The whole point is you can spend, and just practically we have a lot of time on our hands, hopefully, so we can spend that time writing out our manifestations as an attunement. All that is doing is that's reflecting back to us. So we're using that as a reflective device. When we're writing out our manifestations, all we're really doing is having a conversation with ourselves to tune our own frequency, because all is self and self is all. So we're just seeing ourselves on a piece of paper. But we understand it's about the embodying. So I don't need to think about these goals all the time. So these manifestations, we dissolve them into the ether. And I'll show you how to do that. I'm gonna explain that a bit later. But we dissolve them into the ether. We dissolve them into the spirit realm so our spirit can take care of it. You know, this whole idea of I will do what I can and I'll let God do what I can't. That's what true magic is. I will do what I can and I'll let God do what I can't. But you have to let God. As in generate, operate, and destroy. And I'm saying that these SMART goals, when they're too loosely controlled, when they're too tightly controlled, you don't allow the space for God or whatever your version of creator or creation is to manifest. Then we need the elements. So all manifestation is similar to the five senses. So this F and E, this phi, this F and E, it's like they go in hand in hand. They go hand in hand, where you're basically just working with what God gave you. The elements, which would be seen as things inside and outside of yourself, i.e. your environment. So you are a product of your environment, and you're just basically working with the fire. You're working with the environment. The only thing I'll add to this, because this one's quite obvious for anyone that's into any of this stuff, this is quite an obvious one, but so I'll just highlight like a more nuanced points as usual. So the more nuanced point is just to make sure that you understand that all is self and self is all. So these elements are also in us. So you want to match the energy of something outside of you to in you. All you're really doing when you're looking at a flame, so you want to tap into the fire energy. So you're creating a magic and you want to use your fire energy. You want to understand what fire is from a psychological perspective, a psyche. Psychology just means study of the soul. It rarely means study of the soul. So all you're doing with your fire is you're understanding what your divine will is. From a psychological perspective, your fire is your divine will. So you're understanding what your divine will is. That's what you need to tap into when you're looking at the flame. Or that's what you could do, because obviously fire has many characteristics. But, you know, divine will be in a classic one. So you want to remember the out and in, and that you're building what? A connection. You're building a relationship with the out and in. And that's what's truly creating the magic. These are just, it's essentially all, you're essentially tricking your ego, your psyche. Because again, you don't need to manifest anything. You are manifestation. You are creation. You don't need to create anything. Your natural state is creator, creation. These are your natural states. So all you're doing with this is you're changing the alchemy, you're changing the frequency, you're changing the tune, you're changing the beat. And so all you're doing is you're being proactive with that. You're using your divine spark, you're using your divine will, you're using your fire in order to have some direction consciously. Evoke. Spoke about what, yes, as usual, these things are all interlinked. So evoking is where it comes from within. So you understand that whatever power that you've got, and when we say within, like obviously stuff is like non-local, but just from a practical, physical perspective, we'll just use the word within. And so you want to evoke from your heart space as a centered being with all your chakras aligned and all that good stuff. But you want to emanate and evoke. Because the key to your magic, the key to your being is to know thyself, not to know the external world, because that would be too hard to know. So to simplify our journey, we focus on the knowing thyself, not knowing the world. And so to simplify our magic, we focus on evocation, which is focusing on your center space, your centered spaces. Understanding that self is all and all is self. I have to say that often, by the way. The reason why I say that often at certain junctures is to remind myself to not delude myself in ego with this stuff. It is very, very easy to focus on powers that you are creating from an egoic perspective. Especially when you start getting into things like evocation, because then you start thinking like you own the power. Like this power is yours and you have it to own. And what is that? That is causing a possession. And so you then allow possession to take place because you were focused on these things as a possession, because you tapped into that part of yourself that wasn't true. So there's, again, if you feel yourself clinging, grasping, that is only ever an attachment to possession. It would be better if you just looked at it like you didn't own your own soul. Like, you want to remove these words of like ownership. These are just states of being in which I tap into. And they go and they come like the wind. They were never mine to own, so how could I ever have loss? Let me say that one again, people. How could I ever have suffered a loss if it was never mine to begin with? How can I ever have suffered a loss if it was ever mine to begin with? How can there be lack? I can only have the illusion of lack. I can only have the illusion of possession. Of course, emotion. Of course, emotion. Emotion is the fuel, obviously energy and motion. Again, just be careful with your, this is why I just want people to be more selective with their manifestations. Before you get into this, basically before you, it's just another reminder, before you get into the fire, understand where the energy comes from, because there is a massive chance that this is going to be a draining energy. This is going to be a draining energy. This is potentially going to drain me. Energy in motion. Action, basically. All actions are emotional. But we're using, in this frame, we're using emotion as a tool. So this, again, these are tools. We're using emotion as a tool to manifest. So obviously we need to realize something. We need to sense something. We need to feel something. You could almost argue that the emotion that I'm speaking about is feeling. Like, I discern the two. Like, I personally make a difference between emotion and feeling. And I say feeling is what comes first. Emotions are your reactions to your feelings. So you can't control your feelings, but you can definitely control your emotions. And over time, you can train your feelings, which then obviously will further train your emotions. That's my personal distinction between the two. So I'm like, feelings are good, emotions are bad. Or emotions are dangerous. Let's just put it that way. It's a dangerous game to play the game of emotions. Because of this whole energy drain thing. So when I say bad, it comes from an energy perspective. It's just emotions drain your energy. Emotional people are almost always drained. Like, literally. Emotional people are almost always drained. So, feel your goal is already achieved to vibrationally align with it, of course. So that's where you're tapping into these potential aspects of self, i.e. future self, higher self, in most cases, and you're bringing that energy into the now. The key is you're bringing that energy into the now with that emotion, or you can bring that energy into hindsight. So you tap into your future self and you look at your future self with hindsight. This is a lovely key. You look at your future self with hindsight, and the emotion that you're tapping into is the hindsight of you already achieving the thing. This is the key. That's a real practical way to do it. And in the final one, your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is at least 90% of your power. And so by you only focusing on your conscious mind, i.e. smart goals, it's going to be difficult for you to achieve. especially spiritual goals. So you have to come up with ways to program your subconscious mind. Listen to anything from Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, for example. But yeah, you want to tap into your subconscious mind. And then we're wrapping up soon now. So we're in the final phases. This is recorded, it is late. There's still people on the stream. Yeah, boom, 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 boom. All right, cool. So yeah, but I know it's getting late and I try and finish. When I see past 10 o'clock, I kind of start looking, but obviously we did start really late today. So, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, so anyway. All right. So this can get scary for people that are like really, really God fearing. So if you're on this call and you are like a Christian and God fearing, then you might want to just lock off now. I'll just give you that warning. Just it is what it is. I am going to try to, for me, magic is just unrealized science. It's just it. The more we understand science, the less magical things are. But then I wouldn't say the less magical things are. I would just say the more explainable things are. But then to any wise man, you know, the more that you know, the more that you don't know. Why? Because you're always tapping into that infinity space. And that infinity space is unrealized and has in it the facility to not know. Not knowing is as great as knowing. They are two sides of the same coin. So these desires to even know yourself, you want to let go of. Even the attachment to know thyself, you want to let go of. Because there is growth in the not knowing. You just have to know how to tap into it. Again, a true alchemist knows how to use any situation to their advantage. So whether you don't know something or know something, it makes no difference. You're going to find a way to win. It's true alchemy. In a practical sense, of practical alchemy, as I'll frame it. So sigils equal symbols. So I'll just explain what a sigil is, and I will say that this is definitely tapping into what you would call occult magic. Occult magic, occult science, whatever name you want to call it. And in my eyes, everything is magical. So I am biased. Every single thing is magical. So as I said, I want to come out with like a post or something that says, every breath is meditation. Every word is a spell. And every symbol is a sigil. All maths is Ma'at. And Ma'at is the goddess, the ancient Egyptian goddess of balance. So by you tapping into maths, you are tapping into the energy of Ma'at, which is balance, which is one of the highest goddesses in ancient Egypt. So for me, everything is spiritual. You can't run away from spirituality. You can't run away from magic. You are always creating magic. It's just whether it's happening to you, from you, happening intentionally or proactively. So that's my only justification. I'm not doing any more justification. If this is not for you, then just stop the video. So what a sigil is, and you can even tell as well. So people are this is how crazy the world is. People will run away from the word sigil, but will then wear designer clothes or just clothes with icons on it. And a sigil just means symbol. It's literally just directly translated. Sigil means symbol. So again, a picture paints 1,000 words and everything is imaged. Our brain, the most powerful sense is the sense of sight. By the way, just in case people don't know. So sight takes up 80% of your perception, sensory perception. 80% dominant out of 5. So symbols are then the most powerful tools. Symbols are the most powerful tools in our human universe. And so all you're doing with a symbol is you're taking these manifestations. So why I'm saying it's a free stage. So I didn't actually say what the name of this thing is. M.F.ing. So that was just my play on words. That was just me having some fun. So M is obviously the magic, and then F is the fires. And then we're saying power sigil. So this whole workbook which I've only showed you like 20% of it because of time. But like this MF Empower Sigils workbook is just me having a little play on words, having a bit of fun. And the whole idea is to create these sentences. So this is what you're doing in these 3 stages. You're creating these sentences or these powerful phrases that are created up, these magic that's been created from the magic framework. You're creating these statements. You're then going to charge these statements with fire, and then you're going to manifest it into the physical reality. So we went from the mental, spiritual to the physical, and we're saying that the sigils then become part of the physical reality. So it's a 3-stage process: mind, body, spirit, mental, physical, spiritual. And so this is the physical part. And so we're going to create out of these words, these phrases, we're going to create a sigil. There's many ways to create a sigil, and I'm just going to show you I don't even know how much should I show. Let me see what I've got here. I'll just show you one way. I'll show you one way to create a sigil. So you get your sentence, you remove all of the vowels. These are the classic ways. You can just Google this as well, by the way. There's millions of YouTube videos. This is not something I've created. You just remove the vowels, and you remove, and then you're left with the consonants. So in occult science and just etymology, even just like the way words are constructed, is that the vowels are seen as hidden. That's where the magic is. So in the sigil itself, you're understanding the interplay between the physical and the spiritual. And we're saying that the vowels in your name are your spiritual tools, are the spiritual keys. The consonants are the physical. The consonants, they're the physical. So you're removing the vowels because you don't want them to be seen. Those are what's sacred. Your vowels are sacred. Think about it. Think about it. It's all there in the English language. The English language always gives you the keys. The English language never does it. It just never does not give you the keys. It's hidden in plain sight if you know how to decode. Think about it. The vowels are what's sacred. What happens when you get married? You take what? You take wedding vows. Supposed to be sacred. You put on the ring, which is what? A circle, the O, the 0. Yeah, like I'm trying to keep this stuff simple today. I'm not trying to go too much, especially this time of night. But like, everything is magic, people. Everything is magic. I'm so underplaying it when I say that. One day I'll do videos that get a bit more advanced. So, how to create a sigil? You remove the vowels. You then look at the consonants. You're left with the consonants, and then you remove all of the single consonants. You then remove all of the single consonants. So any consonant that's been repeated, you remove the consonants, and then you're left now with just single consonants that were in the order that you writ them in. And then what you want to do from those consonants is you want to create an image, like an icon. Now, the key to the magic of this sigil is that after a while, you'll forget what this sigil means. So you can do it. You can do it in ways like me. I play about with creativity. So you can basically use an element to get rid of the symbol, i.e. you can burn it, or you can lose it, or you can wear it, or put it in a place where people see, but it's maybe not as visible to you. And so every single time someone sees that sigil, they empower it. But then there is another method where you just get rid of it and you never see it again. Like you just don't even see it. So you can do both. Again, you can just try both. You can try both methods and work with both methods. But again, just remember that if you're uncomfortable with this stuff, I'll be a bit nicer and just be like, at the very least, what you're doing again is you're trying to deprogram your conscious mind and tap into your subconscious mind. So that trick of burning, getting rid of, is tricking your conscious mind to forget, because transformation is in what? The now. So if transformation is in the now, I don't want to hold on to past memories. I don't want my past to dictate my future. When I'm saying transformation is in the now, I'm basically saying I know, you can write this down as in a manifestation. You can have this one for free. I no longer serve my past self, which tries to dictate my future. I no longer serve my past self, which is trying to dictate my future. Because we were led to believe that time was linear. Go check. I can't remember again. The video's emerging. I think my second video I talk about. No, sorry. My third video I talk about time in this infinite design series. The third video I talk about time heavily, and I'm talking about that whole construct, that whole deception that's been happened with time. So we want to create it in the moment, and we can get rid of it, or we can just wear it as an item, something, draw it somewhere where people see it, but maybe you don't see it, or maybe you see it but then you forget it over time. And so yeah, that's what we're basically doing. So that's what you want to do that. You want to create a sigil. So this will be, it's highly recommended to do it. Highly recommended to do it. Highly recommended to do it. It's one of the, I would say, 101s in, let's just say, magic. So this is a channel that taps into magic. Like I tap into divination. Let's not just think that all of this stuff is psychological or for psychological tricks. When I say psychology, I go to the etymology of it, and psycho just means soul. It's a direct translation. Psycho means soul. So in its, again, the deception, the illusion is, or the replacement is that they took soul out of the word psychology and replaced it with behavior. They replaced soul with behavior. Mad tricks. The tricks they play. The games they play. The games we play. All right, so I'm about to wrap up now. I'm just going to show you this quick meaning framework, and I'm kind of going to just show it to you. I might break this down at another, I might break this down again a bit more deeper, but quite honestly, I feel like you'll be able to get the gist of what I'm saying just by me showing it. This will be just a framework that you can look at in your own time, that you can just save this, pause the video, and then just see it. So any more questions as well before I go, because I'm about to wrap up now. So yeah, if you want to put any questions in, just put them in the chat. Meaning what does it all mean? What does it all mean? All right, cool. So yeah, like I said, I'll probably do about 5 to 10 minutes on that, and I'll answer any questions, and then I'm going to be out of here. So we are going for meaning. The key is that we are going to replace purpose with meaning. From today forward, if you enjoy my ideas, then I'm basically saying that the takeaway from this video is to stop asking the question, what is my purpose? And focus on, how do I create meaning in this moment? Or how do I create moments of meaning? Because it could even be a future meaning, because you need to learn how to do that. But essentially, focus on the meaning. So you people are funny. I ain't even answering that one. Hard labor. It weren't luck. It weren't luck. I decided not to distract myself with certain things. That's basically how it worked. Someone's asking me, how did I get like this? And it wasn't spoon fed. It wasn't silver spoon fed. I had no mentor. Although obviously life is mental. Life is teaching you. And I do stand on the shoulders of giants, but essentially that's essentially it. But yeah, anyway, let's not take that one seriously. I know you're only joking. So information is light. Yep, cool. Everyone's got that. You should get that one by now. Information is light. The map is not the territory. Really important. Really important. We'll get to why in a second. But this is actually crucial. The map is not the territory. And so these persons, these partial lights, you could argue are the map. The territory is obviously the real thing. So for me, this is one of the biggest insights that you could get when you understand the map is not the territory. Because what I often see people trying to do is try to cultivate their ego. They're trying to grow their ego. They're trying to, in my eyes, polish a turd. They're trying to polish a turd. Because it's not like they're trying to reduce it or relax it. I'm not talking about that level. Like, this is not that distinction. I'm talking about the building up of the ego. And they will never get closer to the truth like that, as long as they stay in that vibration and that energy. Because essentially in this metaphor, it would be akin to you trying to just improve the clarity of the map as opposed to walking the terrain, experiencing the terrain. So you can go through life. There will be people that will go through life and their focus is on the map. And they've built the most beautiful, detailed, incredible map. But then when you ask them about their experience in the moment, it leaves a lot to be desired. And so we understand that when we're going into these symbols, these relationships, these patterns and representations, these are only a projection of what's possible. And in order to tap into that isness, you have to ground yourself. You have to get muddy. You have to get dirty. You have to go into the terrain. And so when we're building these narratives, basically the key to this is that when we're building these narratives, i.e., remember, our brain is conditioned and programmed evolutionary, especially within humans, as our gift. So I'm saying that the evolution of the human brain, what it can do that we believe no other species on this planet can do, is build narratives. The ability to build a past, present, and future. Build narratives through our imagination. This is the thing that defines us the most, more than any other thing, I would say. But when we're building these narratives, we have to understand that these narratives are tools. These narratives are the map, not the thing itself. And so as long as we understand that, we can build great maps that allow us to know that we are the legend. So this is like real, this is you know me, by now you know I love a metaphor and a synchronicity. So in a map, in map world, like there are people that build maps, like orientation, like there's a whole study of people that build maps. So anyway, in that you have the icons in the map, like the things, the keys to the map. Those keys, like, oh, this is what a symbol, this is what a the keys that are on the map, like this is what a hospital looks like. So that, so on the side, maybe left hand or right hand side, they'll have like 10 keys. And they'll be like, this is what hospital, this is the image of a hospital. And so now you can look at the map and you can see the 10 hospitals that are on this map. Or this is like a, it's normally for something that's been repeated as well, but can also just be the symbols. It's like the glossary. And that's called a legend. Think about it. It's called a legend. I am legend. So you're creating these stories because they're useful and they're practical. Because the most powerful magic we have is the magic of the myth, the mythology. I create my story, the hero's journey. So we want to create, we want to take control of our narrative whilst understanding that we don't want to cling to it. It has to be a narrative which is fluid and allows creation in the moment. And that creation that you create in the moment is your maps of meaning. This is where it's all sinking now. The maps of meaning is what's created in the moment, understanding that you are the hero of your journey, i.e. the legend. However, do not idolize your legend. Just literally, do not idolize your legend. Do not worship false what? Icons. I could have bolded that. Do not worship false icons, i.e., and obviously icons are on a map, i.e., do not worship false idols. So when you become too attached to something, you then idolize it. You then idolize it, which is basically a sin for a great reason, because there's only oneness. So yeah, you are the hero of this journey. And so yeah, this is just a real quick framework. So I'm just going to show this bit and then I'm going to go after this. I'm not going to do like, yeah, no, there's no way I'm doing all of that. So yeah, we'll just show this framework here. So what does it all mean? So again, as usual, mean is also a acronym. And so what you want to do is you want to build a framework. Your map has to be clear. Kind of comes back to the resolution, but your map has to be clear and it has to be coherent. So no longer, like I said, do I really focus on truth, because truth is too fluid to focus on, especially outside of the moment. So all I really want to do, if I am building something, is to focus on clarity and coherence. So is my map coherent? Does it make sense? The first thing you need to do to build meaning is, does it make sense? You need to be able to attach to it. It needs to be clear and it should make sense. This is how you build meaning. You then have to recognize its essence. So you have to basically, there is this closer to the truth, even though the truth is fluid. How do I get as close as possible to the truth? What is the essence, the intrinsic value of my experience? The key word there is the value. So I need to focus on value. So I'll put what I would say is the most important words here as well. Value. I need to focus on coherence and I need to focus on value. We'll say truth as well. Coherence, value, and truth. Then I need to be aligned. I need to align with it. That alignment is your purpose. Just to be clear. So when I was saying don't focus on purpose, so earlier on I said, yeah, in the videos, yes, we're coming full circle now. So we just delivered it a bit later than I said I would. But yeah, so when I said don't focus on your purpose, it was just minimizing its importance, because what is equal to purpose is truth, is value, is coherence, and obviously the last one as well. So you're balancing purpose. And just to be clear, purpose is righteousness. Purpose is the right thing to do in the moment. I haven't said that one for a while. I haven't said that one for a couple of years out loud on a video, I don't think. Yeah, I can't show you my screen. Like literally I've written, yeah, anyway, whatever. So you lot can't see my video. You can't see my myself. So I've got that written down somewhere that I could have showed you. But yeah, righteousness. The idea is, so instead of focusing on purpose, because again, for me, purpose is just almost a distracting word. Focus on righteousness. Focus on righteousness. What is the right thing to do in this moment? That should be one of your questions. What is the right thing for me to be doing now? And no man stands in the same river twice. So once you understand that no man stands in the same river twice, you know that what is righteous today may not be righteous tomorrow, because you're moving in with what? Life's rhythms. You're moving in harmony with life's rhythms, i.e. the flow, i.e. tapping into the flow state. So your purpose is just to tap into your flow states. It's just essentially it. You can just simplify a generic purpose to tap into your flow states. That would be a great way where I could just answer that to everyone. Okay, cool. So tell me about your flow states. So if I'm helping people, tell me about your flow states. When was that time when you was in flow? We go from there. Yeah. What patterns can I map in my life to guide my future? What is the essence of my beliefs and experiences? Are my actions aligned with my purpose and values? I.e., am I living righteously? With my own interpretation of what I think righteousness is, based on my heart space, because my heart doesn't lie. So navigation, and then navigating challenges and transforming adversity into growth and resilience. How do I navigate life's challenges to growth, to foster growth? And so navigating challenges, transforming adversity into growth and resilience. And so the idea of what we're doing here is, the idea is to tap into our anti-fragility. Navigation. How do I gain charge in moments, in all moments? How am I creating a synergistic environment with the moment? That would be the navigating. Like, how do I navigate this situation? Like, how do I deal with this situation? So I'm saying, how do I grow in this situation? That would be the idea. If you can't get to that level, then it's obviously, how do I be resilient? How do I be robust? Those are the 4 levels. I taught that 2 weeks ago as well. The 4 levels of resistance, or the 4 levels of chaos, of how to deal with chaos. All right, cool. So yeah, that's it from myself. Yeah. I don't know how I'm so long in these videos. Actually, I don't even know. And obviously, as everyone knows, I skip so much. Like, I don't know. One day. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, I hope people got value from that. I hope people got value from that. That's what else would I hope for? I hope that it leads to your transformation, which you realize is in the now. I hope some of these takeaways are felt deeply and simplified in your own mind, with your own language, in a way that resonates with you. I'm not trying to tap into the synchronicity stuff today. Like I said, I've been saying it for a few times. I'm actually not trying to tap into synchronicity stuff, because when I do that, my mind just goes to another planet. But like this week, it's been really like just forcing itself on me. I'm like, are you being serious? Like, are you being serious? I'm not even trying to pay attention. Are you being serious? So I've started off this video. So this is how the universe works. It's so funny. So I've just started off this video talking about light. I just spoke about light. So light is what broken down into what? Look at the numbers here. Light is what broken down into 7. I've been talking about the persons. Light is being taught. It's been a theme. Light is broken down into 7 wavelengths mainly, or 7 colors. Light is color, basically. To be clear, all light is color. So 7 colors, 7 back links. Back to what? Back to the oneness, to the one light. The number, the 144,000. 144,000 is related to light. There's an extra 4 there, but it's also 444 anyway. But whatever. So 12, which is still light. So you got light here. So this number is a light number. 144 is a light number. And you've got the 3699 characters. Like, so, yeah. Bibliomancy. Divination is everywhere. Everything is divine. All is divine. Everything is fine. All is divine. That's one of my favorite mantras. Everything is fine. All is divine. So even when I'm not trying, I don't need to try. This is just those examples. Like, this might not mean stuff to you, but like I said, for me, the universe is a stage. The world is a stage. The universe is a stage. This is kind of a play. That's one of my ways, because obviously I talk about the hero's journey, characters. Like, this is obviously after hours stuff now, which I'm kind of wrapping up on. But I see the world as a stage. I am a player on the stage, trying to be less playful, but then also playful, in a paradox. And so I see characters. These numbers are also characters. Everything to me is a symbol. So this is characters. These are characters. 9699. I'm seeing these as characters, divine numbers, the 3 9s and the 3 4s, the 999s and the 444s. Angel numbers of the 4 4s. Like I don't, yeah. Let's not go on a 15-minute rant about these numbers. But I'm just using this as an example where I'm not even trying. I'm talking about meaning. I've created a document of meaning. I've created a document. Literally, this is my thesis on meaning, saying that meaning is the most important thing in life. Focus on meaning, people. Focus on meaning. Focus on meaning. Once you do that, creation will be what? A byproduct. So all I've done in this was put my heart and soul into coming up with something for meaning. I can't tell you how much hours I've put into studying this stuff on meaning. Hours, countless hours, like hours this year, focusing on meaning. I put it in this document. This document is my main document where I've reduced it down into simplicity, or my version of simplicity. It's got 7 links to other documents, other wavelengths to tap into, other what frequencies to tap into. And then we've got the 144, which is directly related to the speed of light. Just to be clear, the speed of light, time. Light is time. And then you got this 9. You could also say the 444 is a 12. Forward 4 is a 12, which relates to 3. And so you've got the 71369. What did Tesla say? The secrets to the universe are found in the 369. The secrets to the universe is found in the 369. Tesla, big ass Tesla. Again, if you don't know how heavy that bar is, then you know, look it up on Google or come hit me later. But yeah. We all have gifts, we just need to unlock them. There you go, Lavinia. We all have gifts, we just need to unlock them. Clearly there's something that's working through me, i.e. power, that allows me to tap into seeing these characters, like without even trying. Again, I don't need to force it. The key energy that I'm trying to say here is, yes, I've done the studying, but the flow states come from realizing your expertise and being at ease with your expertise. So there's always that phase when you don't know, then you go to know, and then you go to hard studying, getting those headaches, waking up, right, this thing's so hard, it's so hard to learn, so hard to learn. You put those 10 hours, those 10,000 hours in, and then to a certain degree, it becomes easy. Then becomes a mastering stage. And then now what's happening to me, you can't realize this, but my frequency's just changed in my ear. So my eardrum now, as I've just literally said that, my eardrum, the frequency that's going into my ear, like literally my right ear, you can't see it, you can't hear it, obviously. You just have to believe me. If you don't believe me, fair enough, whatever. I don't know why I'd made this stuff up for. I'm just speaking to you about present moment things, like literally. I'm speaking about spirituality, and then these physical changes are happening. These light codes are entering into my right eardrum. Yeah. And I'm tapping off at 10:43. I'm off. I'm done. I'm done for the day. Tapping off at 10:43. So another 22 and then 43. I create my stories for the number 43, just to be clear, people. I create my stories, the number 43. So we tapped off at 10:43. It's now 10:44. It's all divine. 43 is divine. 44 is everything's divine. So there's no place where divinity can't hide from me. It can't hide from me. You can't. I see you, bro. You can't hide from me. So now we're on 10:44. The narrative changes. I see the divinity in that moment. I see the magic in that moment, and I'm thankful for that moment as well. I was thankful when it was 43. I'm thankful when it's 44 now. I get now the 22:44. I go to the 45. I see a 9. We're moving into the year of the 9. and bring this video out where I'm talking about 2025, the year of the 9. So there's magic everywhere, people. Like I can't stress this enough. The wise only need a hint. And so with that, peace, love, catch you next week. Oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe and like and share. Why not? Help a brother out. Oh, and comment. Help some people out, man. This is needed in the world.